And the thing is, what it involves working really hard and keeping at it. It involves staying up all night sometimes. And you know what?
Yes.
I know it. I know it here. That's where you got to fight it.
Yes.
Not my chest bone.
No, he was.
Heart.
He just broke his collarbone. So just to show you how much he cares.
It's like a pop tap. I can overcome this. Just limping in here.
Oh, don't
coffee
spill the coffee on the table.
Making a mess.
We might die.
Yeah, we don't want to do that. But yeah, another way to look at it is this waterfall. This wonderful waterfall back here. A waterfall is very peaceful, right? It's very.
Yes.
Isn't that a beautiful picture back there? It's so peaceful and majestic. But imagine if you're on a barrel over that waterfall. See, when you take a larger step back and look at the whole picture, it's peaceful and beautiful. But if you zero in on one point, God bless America, that is some violent shit. That's scary. You might fall under them falls. But that's because you're caught in just one part of it. When you look at the whole thing, you realize if it weren't for that sort of physical violence in that fall, you wouldn't have the majesty of that lagoon down there. The mountains, the fire in the clouds there itself is a reflection of these little relationships on a molecular to a macrocosmic level. You get the oxygen, you get the various gases and water vapor, and the light goes through that, and it changes how it looks. But there's, if you were a water molecule and the full force of the sun got on you, you might turn into a cloudy bit of steam. That's got to be painful for a water molecule. It's so violent. If you just focus in on that, you hate the rest of it because it's so evil. But when you get the whole big picture, you realize all these things fit together. So if we look at that as a metaphor for life,
yes,
when we're going over the falls or we're getting hit by that sun ray and turning into the vapor, we feel terrible. But what we don't realize is it's all building up to something bigger
that we can't see because we're part of the molecular. Yes,
right. We're in the picture. We can't see the full thing.
Exactly, and I think that's where I've changed. It's a work in progress. It's not the easiest thing to do. It's very hard, but I've definitely realized that in the larger picture that I have, there are a lot of things that I thought were negatives that ended up being strengths later. I just didn't see it at the time, because when you're in your teens, you're awkward, everything's weird, and then even in the 20s, I was still awkward because I thought, you had the mindset of, being different, and then doing comedy, and then being smart even though in comedy is a negative at times. Because I used to be introduced. Someone would always say, "Hey, this is Chris Adams. He's really smart, so pay attention." I'm like, "Why are you doing that?" I just came to make people laugh. Stop trying to tell. But he's out of the business now, so I think I won.
Yeah, well, some people.
I'm kidding.
I've had that happen with hosts too, and it's one of those things that if you overcome it, it becomes a strength. Because there are people who will host a room that really do not like other comedians, and they haven't been able to get much further themselves. Yes. So they actually maybe they don't realize they're being so malicious, but they deliberately try and sabotage you before you get on stage. Like they'll say, "Oh, this guy's really smart, so you got to listen," or "This guy's so funny. He's the funniest guy I've ever seen. Oh, you're gonna laugh. If you don't laugh at this guy, what's wrong?" And they sort of put a challenge in front of the audience that makes it so they're thinking about that before the guy's even gotten on stage to do his joke. Now, you can get angry at that host, which I used to do when I was newer.
That's a funny comment. Omar was like, "Is it just me, or does Kevin look like a cool Jesus?"
Oh, thank you. I'll take it. But
he looks like a cool white Jesus.
By cool, do you mean my skin is so white and pasty in this light, it appears to be snow? Because if you look at that picture, I am a pasty son of a gun. Keep the sun away from me. I might turn into flame. Yeah. But before, when I was younger and I'd have a host just kind of screw me like that, it would make me mad and it would mess with my set. Yes. But then I realized, don't even worry about what that host says. In fact, all I have them do is I say whatever you want. Just bring me up his French accent. And they will say whatever they want. And sometimes they give the game away. But they'll be like, "Oh, this guy's got an eye patch and an accordion. You're not going to believe it." It's like, dude, I'm trying to surprise them, but I don't let it bug me, because
Well,
that hurts you worse.
Absolutely, the negative energy you take into the because I can only relate to things on a performance level because that's been basically my entire adult life is comedy. So if you take that negative energy up on the stage, even if you try your best to hide it, it comes out and you have a bad or a less.
It does.
You're not as good, sharp, and you're not as on it, and it'll make your performance not as good as you can be.